Hello and welcome to Chinese Novel Audio Wave. Explore our playlist for more captivating novels, and don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss a new audiobook. Now, let's dive into today's story. Chapter 41 New Mission, New Spirit of Nature. The changes in the 10 warriors were huge, and Alan paid attention to them every day. After all, this was his personal guard. Every day, he or Marco would personally take the time to train these 10 people. 2 days later, all 10 became trainee knights, and a faint sense of qi had already been produced in their bodies. As long as they continue to practice, they will soon become knights. When Marco heard the news, he was shocked in his heart, but more than that, he was excited. Recently, Alan has made too many moves, and Rose Town has developed too fast, especially in terms of force. It looks like it will soon have a small team of knights. This made Marco feel a little unbelievable, but at the same time, he also had a premonition that Alan seemed to have some big plans. This is also why Marco has been working so hard to train knights and train warriors every day. It seems they are almost in shape. Alan was currently riding a horse in the distance, watching. The only shortcoming is, how can a knight not have a warhorse? Alan was already preparing to buy warhorses from the system. Why buy warhorses within the system? There are reasons for that. First, the warhorses within the system have extremely high loyalty and are very docile and easy to handle. Second, in this world, warhorses are also an important strategic resource. Buying warhorses requires a lot of gold coins, and most of them are just ordinary warhorses. They can't be compared to the warhorses unlocked by the system at all. After all, the warhorses unlocked by the system are species unlocked from the most outstanding knight order in the earldom, the Thornflower Knight Order. They are enough to enter the level of elite species, possessing stronger stamina, stronger bodies, and strength, otherwise they would not become the warhorses of the Earl's Trump Card Knight Order. Of course, the most important thing is that the system is convenient and quick to buy. Soon, Alan spent 10 gold coins and brought 10 warhorses to the personal guard he had selected. From today onwards, you are partners. Cherish each other. After Alan finished speaking, he didn't stay too long and let them continue training. With warhorses, they can naturally conveniently practice horsemanship. Watching his knight team and those warriors who had already begun training, Alan slowly patrolled the territory, wanting to see if he could get some side quests or something. As for the main quest, it has already been updated. Mission: the name of Rose Town. The opening of the commercial road has completely connected your territory with the outside world, but as a lord, you must consider more. You need money, a lot of money. Agriculture can guarantee people's lives, but commerce can make people rich. You already have a way to make money, why not realize them immediately? Within a week, let the name of Rose Town spread throughout the earldom. Mission reward: 10,000 experience points, 1 alchemist. This mission was very simple for Alan. As long as he produced a batch of distilled spirits, perfumes, and maltose, and traded with the merchants who came here, Alan believed that the name of Rose Town would soon spread. During this period, the distilled spirits factory, perfume factory, and maltose factory have been built and have begun to produce a large number of finished products. For this reason, Alan has invested a lot of gold coins. There will be a big chamber of commerce coming to Rose Town tomorrow. By then, the mission will naturally be completed, and then the town will get another alchemist. Alan had already made arrangements in his heart, as for why he didn't sell them earlier. That's because this big chamber of commerce is very famous throughout the entire duchy. It is said that it has a very deep background. Of course, he wanted to use these 3 products with endless potential as stepping stones to establish a relationship with this chamber of commerce. After all, Alan had to consider the future. He would have a huge army, and he was unwilling to be a subject for the rest of his life. With the dragon, his goal in his heart has always been to be a king, or even an emperor. However, to achieve his goal, he still needs a little external support. Let's slowly make contact and see. Alan thought, and slowly rode his horse back to the castle. He had already spent 2 days training knights and warriors. During these 2 days, Alan also did other things. For example, he has designated 3 plants to give birth to 3 spirits of nature. They are respectively a peanut spirit of nature, a grape spirit of nature, and a corn spirit of nature. Because the three spirits of nature were designated by Alan, few people know about their appearance. However, in the end, the servants and stewards in the castle knew about it. Among the three newly appeared spirits of nature, the peanut spirit of nature is a diligent little guy who goes to inspect his magic peanut field every day. This little guy is called Lulu. The grape spirit of nature is a little guy who likes to sing. She has purple hair and is very beautiful and cute. Every day, her favorite thing is to sing to the corn spirit of nature, but this little guy's singing is really tortuous. Her name is Fenny. Finally, there is the lazybones corn spirit of nature. This little guy's biggest characteristic is laziness. She likes to sleep, sleeping all the time. Except for meal times, even if Fenny sings by her side every day, she can still sleep. Of course, she is also the only spirit of nature who doesn't dislike Fenny's singing, because she always falls asleep while listening. Her name is Casey. Chapter 42 New Magic Species, Silver Moon Wolf. After Alan came back, Amy and Tara were quarreling as usual, and Gray was quietly watching on the side, very quiet, while Lulu was working hard in the field. And Fenny was singing by Casey's window, and Casey was of course already asleep. Alan returned to the study, and first practiced with Safi for a while. Safi is now 7 or 8 meters long, and the wings are more than 10 meters wide when opened. It has initially revealed the majesty and momentum of a dragon. Of course, in front of Alan, it still likes to act cute. Alan watched Safi grow up day by day, and his heart became more and more fiery. The days of riding a dragon are getting closer and closer. The intermediate dragon nest is extremely beneficial to Safi's growth. I wonder how the advanced dragon nest is. Several times Alan couldn't help but want to directly buy and build an advanced dragon nest. Alan estimated that with an advanced dragon nest, Safi could reach adulthood in a short time. By then, Alan would be a dragon knight. However, in the end, Alan still held back. An advanced dragon nest costs 100,000 gold coins, which is too much money. This is also one of the reasons why Alan prepared to produce distilled spirits, perfumes, and maltose. He needs money too much. When his title is raised and his territory is expanded in the future, the army must also be increased. By then, even more money will be needed. Sigh, how can I still feel poor with hundreds of thousands of gold coins in hand? Alan was speechless, but fortunately, the intermediate dragon nest can still satisfy Safi. As long as there is some more time, distilled spirits, perfumes, and maltose will start to make a profit, and then there will be enough money. Safi, ah Safi, you have to grow up well. You don't even know how much money I have spent on you. Alan sighed. Recent expenses have been very large: weapons and equipment, agricultural tools, factory raw materials, and he even needs to buy some ships. These are all major areas of gold coin consumption. Before he has a steady stream of funding, he cannot spend 100,000 gold coins to upgrade the dragon nest. After spending some time with Safi, Alan returned to the study and rested for a while before opening the second small box that Sparrow brought back before. It's been busy enough these past few days, and only now can I open this box. Number 26 to 26. The box opened, revealing a of aged animal hides and bones. Now, let's play something exciting. A glint flashed in Alan's eyes as his fingers began to touch the contents of the box, one by one. At this moment, Alan felt a slight surge of excitement. The appearance of the sea lion beast made him increasingly realize how amazing the species unlocking function was. This also made him eagerly anticipate unlocking more magical species. Ding! Congratulations, host, for unlocking the magical species Silver Moon Wolf. Obtained Silver Moon Wolf biological card *50. As the notification sound rang out, the entire small box was rendered useless. Too bad, it's not an ancient magical species, but this magical species seems much stronger than the rats and rabbits I unlocked before. A glint flashed in Alan's eyes. Should I create a wolf cavalry? With this in mind, Alan first checked the attributes of this magical species. Silver Moon Wolf. Magical species, adept at wind magic, possessing extremely fast speed and reaction. Not bad. Although not as powerful as the sea lion beast, the sea lion beast is a magical beast of the sea and a bit lacking on land. This magical beast is perfect for giving me a magical beast cavalry on land. With this kind of magical beast, my knights will also have magical beasts to ride in the future. Alan's heart immediately stirred. Previously, he hadn't unlocked any powerful magical species. Plus, he didn't have enough money, so he didn't buy magical beasts. But now, since he has a good magical beast, why use warhorses? Even the Thorn-Flower Knights warhorses, so what? Can they cast magic? Can they defeat magical beasts? They can't. Since there are better options, why use inferior ones? If the Earl had so many magical beasts, would he use warhorses? What a joke. The stamina, strength, speed, and power of magical beasts are all stronger than warhorses. There is still a difference between magical species and elite creatures. Alan certainly wouldn't abandon magical beasts, but he was a bit conflicted now. His knights certainly needed to change mounts. The combat power unleashed by knights with magical beasts would definitely double. But he only had a 10-man knight guard. What would he do with the remaining magical beasts? Alan pondered for a moment and immediately made a decision. Use the Silver Moon Wolf biological card. At least his guards must ride magical beasts to improve their combat power. After all, he would soon have the opportunity to go to the battlefield. At this time, being able to increase his strength by even a little would definitely be beneficial. As for the other magical beasts, he planned to directly have the first batch of the last 40 warriors form a wolf cavalry. And these selected people would naturally be the next batch he planned to train into knights. In addition, Alan also planned to have the previous sea cavalry become knights. Of course, this would have to wait until Alan obtained the knight training acceleration card. But Alan wasn't in a hurry. Soon, the war mission would arrive. At that time, the merit shop should have enough acceleration cards. Chapter 43, Handling the Gold Mine, Merchants Enter the Town. After Alan considered it, he didn't immediately look for the 40 warriors. It was already getting late today, and he planned to rest well and wait for the meeting with the big merchant tomorrow. But although he wanted to rest, someone didn't want him to rest. A town resident came to the castle to report that a gold mine had been discovered under the mountain to the east, and they had brought a piece of ore. The long-awaited gold mine. Alan smiled wryly. He wanted to rest, but it seemed he couldn't. But although he smiled wryly, his heart was overjoyed. After all, it was a gold mine. It was money. Alan immediately organized people to isolate the gold mine area. He didn't immediately start mining. Although there were a lot of people here, not many had mined before. Previously, Alan hadn't thought that there would be a gold mine as a reward. When he asked Earl Albert for people, he mainly asked for farmers. Now, for the time being, he couldn't find real miners to mine the gold mine for him, and even if he mined it, he didn't have the equipment to refine gold coins. This thing could only be sold to the Earl. Alan couldn't help it. Recently, he really didn't have the energy to organize people to build an alchemy factory. It was too troublesome. It was better to directly tell the Earl that he had a gold mine. Anyway, the Earl was his cheap old man, and he wouldn't be too ruthless. Directly selling the raw ore to the Earl could quickly get a large sum of money. Saving a lot of effort and energy, that's what Alan was thinking. Go and call Sparrow for me. It seems that my financial officer will be quite busy recently. Alan said to the servant on the side. Soon, Sparrow's slightly thin face appeared in front of Alan. Your Excellency, what can I do for you? Sparrow bowed to Alan and said. Alan handed the gold mine ore he was playing with to Sparrow. Your Excellency, this is a broken stone, this is gold mine ore. Heavens, Your Excellency, where did this come from? Sparrow was excited. He looked at Alan, hoping to hear what he wanted to hear from him. That's right, just as you hope, a gold mine has been discovered in my territory. Alan said faintly. God, Rosetown is truly a fertile land. Sparrow said in a dreamy tone. I remember the first thing you said when you came to Rosetown was that it was a remote and poor place. Alan teased. Sparrow immediately showed a smile. Rosetown didn't have your governance at that time, did it? With you here, even a barren desert would become the most fertile land. Your flattery skills have improved. Alan gave Sparrow a white eye. All right, the discovery of the gold mine will naturally be handled by you. Tomorrow, send someone, or go to the Earl's territory yourself, and tell the Earl that we have a gold mine and can sell it to him below market price. Alan's words made Sparrow slightly stunned, but soon he understood Alan's thoughts and also understood that Rose Town really didn't have the ability to swallow the gold mine alone. Okay, Your Excellency, after receiving the head of the merchant tomorrow, I will go to the Earl's territory. Sparrow immediately replied. By the way, how are the distilled wine, perfume, and maltose factories doing? Alan casually asked. A batch of goods has already been produced, just waiting for the merchant to come tomorrow. Sparrow said. Very good, tomorrow I will go with you to meet the head of the merchant. Alan said faintly. That's for sure, Sparrow said with a smile. The two didn't chat for too long. After all, Sparrow still had to deal with the gold mine and the 3 factories, and Alan quickly let him leave. And he asked the servant to prepare dinner and hot water. He was going to take a bath, eat, and sleep. As a lord, what he needed to do was guide the direction of the territory's development and deal with some major events that happened in the territory. As for the others, it was fine to leave it to the subordinates. He was mainly responsible for enjoying himself. The night quickly passed, and when the morning was just dawning, Alan was awakened by Fanny's singing. Alan sighed. The spirit of nature he chose, no matter how bad, he had to cherish it. First prepare breakfast for the spirit of nature, and at the same time have people make a large amount of barbecue. Barbecue was Safi's breakfast. After solving the breakfast problem for the spirit of nature and the dragon, Alan slowly and leisurely ate bread and drank milk. Soon Sparrow appeared in the castle. Subscribe to Chinese Novel Audio Wave. Your Excellency, the merchant has entered Rose Town. Sparrow said with some excitement. Alan nodded calmly, still slowly and leisurely finishing his breakfast, and then changed his clothes, rode his horse, and headed towards Rose Town. Unlike Marco's excitement, Alan looked indifferent at this moment. What he was considering now was whether the other party met his expectations. This was a two-way choice. If Alan felt dissatisfied, then he would not sell his products to them, and he would not have deeper cooperation with them in the future. Chapter 44, Miss Anna. Wow, the scenery here is really good. There is the sea, there are mountains, there are also flat roads, the houses are also very neat, and there are many farmlands and pastures. Wow, this doesn't look like a rural town at all. On the stone road in the town, carts full of supplies were driving here. These were the merchant's supplies. In addition to the carts carrying supplies, there was also a luxurious carriage, which was a carriage for people to ride in. The person who could sit inside must be the head of the merchant. At this moment, a girl who looked about 17 or 18 years old was looking at the scenery outside the window. I originally thought it was just a dilapidated town, but I didn't expect Earl Albert to give us a surprise. The girl propped her head with her hand and said somewhat lazily. She has a head of light purple hair, a delicate and beautiful face, and crystal clear skin. Even though she was sitting casually in the carriage, her light purple dress perfectly outlined her graceful figure. This is a very beautiful woman. Her light purple eyes were slightly curious. She was curious as to what kind of lord could transform a poor and backward town. After all, they were introduced by Earl Albert, and they had heard about the situation of Rose Town before. So, after actually entering Rose Town, she was so surprised, because it was countless times better than she had expected. Miss, we've arrived. Outside the carriage, a middle-aged knight in knight armor said respectfully. Yes, I know. The purple-haired woman slowly walked out of the carriage. At this moment, they were in an open space, which Rose Town had specially created for some chambers of commerce to use. After all, most chambers of commerce are here to do business, and they will display their goods for people to view. Therefore, Rose Town deliberately left a small square for the chambers of commerce to use. Have people put out some daily necessities and see if we can do some business. Even if there is no business, the scenery here is worth the trip. The purple-haired woman smiled slightly and instructed the servants on the side. Yes, miss. Soon, some nimble helpers had unloaded some goods from a carriage, arranged them, and waited for the townspeople to come and trade. The purple-haired woman slowly strolled along the road, with 6 knights in knight armor following her. Each knight's breathing was extremely long and steady, and they looked alert, with their right hands always on the hilt of their swords, as if they would immediately draw their swords at the slightest disturbance. The purple-haired woman slowly walked towards the seaside and found that there seemed to be some peculiar figures faintly visible on the sea. Huh, are those magical beasts? A trace of surprise and shock flashed in the purple-haired woman's eyes. Because she saw magical beasts and humans seeming to be doing some training. What's going on? What are humans and magical beasts doing? The purple-haired woman asked a middle-aged knight beside her in surprise. Miss, they are probably practicing together. Those warriors seem to be taming magical beasts. The knight was also somewhat astonished. Unbelievable, a mere town is actually having soldiers cooperate with magical beasts. The purple-haired woman was slightly curious. What exactly was going on with this rose town? It's not that she hasn't seen humans taming magical beasts, it's just that she hasn't seen such a peculiar territory in a small country like the duchy. There's nothing unbelievable about it, as long as I want to, I can do it. Alan's voice suddenly rang out, and he immediately rode his horse over here. Who are you? Step back. The purple-haired woman's guards instantly became alert. They stared at Alan, and if he took any excessive actions, they would immediately draw their long swords and fight to the death. Hey, guys, I think you shouldn't be too nervous, we don't have any malicious intentions. Sparrow immediately said, this is the lord of this place, and I am the finance officer here. Lord. Listening to Sparrow's introduction, the purple-haired woman looked up at Alan, and Alan's handsome face made the purple-haired woman slightly stunned. Such a young baron, it's really getting more and more unbelievable. You created and changed everything here. The purple-haired woman asked in surprise. Of course, only the great lord has the ability to change everything here. Sparrow interjected from the side. I just did what I was supposed to do. Alan dismounted and prepared to approach the purple-haired woman. But he was blocked by the 6 knights. Interesting, so those magical beasts were also brought out by you? The purple-haired woman asked curiously. Of course. Alan chuckled and replied, let me introduce myself, my name is Alan, and I am the Lord of Rose Town. And you, beautiful lady? Anna, you can call me Anna. Anna said calmly. Anna, a very elegant name. Alan said very gentlemanly. He looked at the knights in knight armor around him and said in a somewhat plain tone. Then Miss Anna, I want to discuss a business deal with you. Chapter 45, Discussing Business with the Roland Chamber of Commerce. Business. Anna smiled slightly. Lord Baron, you wouldn't want me to buy agricultural products, would you? We are not interested. Anna said indifferently. Although she thought that this town was developing well and the scenery was very good, it did not mean that there was anything here that she could fancy. She didn't think that a small rural baron could come up with anything that would surprise or shock her. Even if this baron seemed to have some magical means to subdue magical beasts. But she had seen too many nobles who could subdue magical beasts, and there was nothing special about it. If there was anything special, it was that Alan was probably the first noble she had met who subdued magical beasts with the status of a baron. It seems that Miss Anna doesn't like my things. Alan's expression was still calm and indifferent, and he was not angry because the other party looked down on him. I'm sorry, Lord Baron, I really don't have time to waste with you. The scenery here is good, I think I will come again if I have the chance. Anna seemed a little impatient and directly turned around and wanted to return to the carriage to prepare to leave. Anyway, Earl Albert only asked her to come here, and she had already done it. Now that she was leaving, it meant that she had already been here. Sparrow. Alan called out in a calm tone. Sparrow immediately grinned, took out a bottle containing rose perfume, and poured it on the ground. Suddenly, a strong and charming fragrance spread out, instantly reaching Miss Anna's nose. The originally indifferent and cold lady's expression instantly became stunned, and then she was shocked. This is. Anna immediately turned around and walked towards Alan. She walked to Alan's side, looking at the crystal bottle Sparrow was holding in his hand, and felt a little excited in her heart. Perfume, something specially developed for ladies. You only need to spray a little perfume to maintain a fragrance all day long. Alan said calmly. This is rose perfume, which is the main type we currently produce. What do you think, Miss Anna, how about this business deal? Anna took a deep breath, and the rose scent still lingered in her nose. It is indeed a good business, how do you want to talk about it? Anna immediately asked. This is not the place to talk, why don't you all move to my castle? Alan said with a smile. Okay. Anna directly took the 6 knights and followed Alan to Alan's castle. At this moment, Anna was observing and sizing up Alan. The moment the perfume appeared, she knew that perfume was definitely a good thing with unlimited potential. But at the same time, she also knew that good things are often accompanied by huge costs. She wanted to observe Alan more at this moment, and understand Alan more, so as to win more benefits for herself when discussing business later. But Alan didn't care about this. Just a perfume could make Anna's attitude change so much. Alan felt that he still underestimated the value of perfume. Soon, Alan took Anna and his party to his castle. Please sit down. Alan had people prepare seats, and Anna sat down and immediately said, Mr. Alan, let's get straight to the point. How much does this perfume sell for a bottle? 5 gold coins. Alan had already thought about the price. Perfume was originally aimed at the high-end market. This thing was used to swindle the money of noble women, so the price was of course expensive. Anna nodded slightly at this price. She agreed with this price very much. Then Mr. Alan, since you have taken out such valuable things, you must hope to cooperate with us. Anna said with a smile. Her calm and capable personality was revealed at this moment. A trace of confidence flashed in her eyes. Lord Alan, you should know that our Roland Chamber of Commerce has strong strength. Our business covers 4 kingdoms, 19 duchies, and even the empire in the center of the continent has our stores. Number 28 to 28. You definitely won't be disappointed in cooperating with us. The channels we possess and the market we control are absolutely beyond your imagination. Let us sell your perfume, and we'll definitely make a fortune. Alan smiled but didn't reply. Instead, he asked, Miss Anna, I know your merchant guild has enough strength, otherwise, I wouldn't have waited until you came to Rose Town to take out the perfume. Let's not beat around the bush. How about we talk directly about cooperation? I'll be responsible for supplying the goods, and you'll be responsible for sales. The profit split is 70/30ths, 7 for me and 3 for you. Also, these perfumes must first be sold in the Thornflower Earl's territory. I want the entire earldom to know the name of Rose Town within a week. Alan didn't waste too much time talking. Anna said so much just to improve her merchant guild's position in this transaction, attempting to obtain more profit. Lord Baron, isn't a 70/30th split a bit too little? The channels our shops have aren't available to just anyone. Moreover, with all due respect, Lord Baron, how much perfume do you think you can produce with your current situation? Why don't you hand over the formula and production method to us? We can mass produce it, and you can just sit back and reap a constant stream of gold coins. What do you think about us providing you with 30%, or even 40%, of the net profit? Anna revealed a charming smile, speaking calmly and with extreme confidence. Chapter 46 Alan's Confidence. Alan laughed upon hearing this. His laughter was cold, disdainful, and even a little disappointed. It seems I can't reach cooperation with your merchant guild. Alan said directly and indifferently, although I am only a baron, although my factory is not big, and although I don't have any channels. However, there is one thing I have enough confidence in. Perfume will definitely become the most beloved item for ladies in the future, and perfume will definitely gain a broad market. My conditions with you are already generous enough. Since you don't think it's acceptable, then we don't need to talk anymore. I don't think my perfume won't sell without you, nor do I think your merchant guild is the only merchant guild. Miss Anna, please understand your current position. You only possess some shops and channels. You are not the only partner for me, but I am the only partner for you, understand? Alan said with a cold expression. The change in his attitude instantly made Anna's expression stiffen. Yes, Anna certainly understood. She understood both her advantages and disadvantages. However, she had previously consciously added her own advantages in the process of the conversation, which could dilute her disadvantages and even put pressure on the other party by pointing out Alan's disadvantages. In her opinion, Alan was just a 15 or 16-year-old brat. Perhaps this kind of young boy had the talent to govern a territory, but when it came to doing business, Anna didn't take him seriously. Anna was a clever woman. She had a stunningly beautiful face and a slender, hot figure. A woman like her was enough to make countless men fall for her. In the past, when she negotiated business, as long as she showed a slight smile or a more affectionate attitude, those men would directly agree to her s. Before, she had also shown a smile in front of Alan and even leaned very close to him, perfectly displaying her charm. But Alan didn't waver in the slightest. He even directly pointed out the disadvantages of her merchant guild. Damn it, why is this little guy so difficult to deal with? Anna didn't show any change in expression on the surface, but she had already begun to feel troubled in her heart. The perfume business must be secured. With her vision, she could definitely see that perfume would definitely sweep the entire continent's market in the days to come. This was an opportunity for her, and even for her merchant guild. Hee, Lord Baron, you jest. I don't look down on you. With the talent, wisdom, and ability you have shown now, your future achievements will definitely be more than just a baron. Anna said with a smile. She was telling the truth. In her opinion, Alan would definitely achieve extraordinary things in the future. Since your lordship is unwilling to share the formula and production method, then let's pretend I didn't say anything. Everything will be done according to your lordship's wishes, but your lordship, can we discuss our profit-sharing ratio? Anna no longer hoped to obtain the perfume's formula and production method. But she needed to fight for some profit. Of course, we can discuss it. Alan immediately showed a smile, as if the cold and ruthless guy from just now wasn't him at all. Seeing Alan's speed of changing faces, Anna couldn't help but curse inwardly, little fox. I can take a step back and give you 40% of the profit, but I need some support from the Roland Merchant Guild. Alan said calmly. This time, Anna's expression was slightly surprised. Support. I guess Miss Anna came to the Thornflower territory this time because of the upcoming national war, right? War is the best money-making opportunity for you merchants. Alan said lightly. Anna's face changed. She also knew about the upcoming war between the Ryan Principality and the Blue Moon Principality through the analysis of the Merchant Guild's high-level executives. How could this little baron possibly know about this kind of thing? You should know that she had met many nobles in the Ryan Principality, not to mention Alan, a baron, even viscounts and even a part of the earls didn't know anything about this national war. Only earls like Albert who were close to the border had this kind of speculation. Currently, the entire Ryan Principality hadn't released any news, so Alan shouldn't know. It seems that your lordship is indeed different from other barons. Your vision, knowledge, and wisdom are 1 in 100. Anna quickly showed a hint of a smile, but you should know that the world has no shortage of talents like you. If you want to get the support of the Roland Merchant Guild, perfume alone is not enough. You need to know that supporting a noble is a huge investment. Anna said calmly. Your situation does not meet the standards of our Roland Merchant Guild. Alan's expression remained calm after listening. Sparrow. He softly called out to the shrewd financial officer with a small mustache who had been standing straight behind him. Sparrow immediately snapped his fingers, and a maid immediately walked in holding a box. I wonder if these two things can make Miss Anna support me. Alan changed his words. He no longer asked to get the support of the Roland Merchant Guild, but directly changed it to Anna. These were two different concepts. Anna's expression became curious. She stared at Alan. She didn't know what was in the box that made Alan so confident. Chapter 47 Anna's Shock and Transformation. This is. Anna looked at the small box in front of her, which only contained a wine bottle and a small jar. You can take a look. Alan smiled slightly. Pour wine for Miss Anna. Alan said to the maid on the side. The maid immediately poured the wine from the wine bottle. In an instant, a rich and mellow aroma of wine spread out. This was different from perfume. This kind of wine aroma was more mellow and intense. In an instant, Anna widened her eyes. Not only her, but even the few guard knights beside her widened their eyes. Some even swallowed. What fragrant wine! Anna exclaimed. As a merchant, she had naturally seen all kinds of delicacies and tasted countless wines. But she had never encountered such a strong-smelling wine. Alan gestured for her to taste it. Anna took a deep breath, picked up the wine glass, and took a small sip. The strong wine entered her mouth, with a mellow and strong fiery taste, and a hint of sweet grape fragrance from the distilled wine bloomed slightly in the fiery taste. In an instant, the distilled wine conquered Anna's taste buds. Good wine, good strong and mellow wine. Anna's eyes lit up, and her gaze towards Alan had changed. If she had been treating Alan with the mentality of looking at a country baron before, then at this moment she had increased Alan's weight to a position comparable to Earl Albert, and even in her opinion, Alan was more valuable and had more potential than Albert. This is the unique wine of my rose town. I call it Rose Night. Like roses, it can make people feel hot and passionate. Alan said with a slight smile. Good name. Anna very much agreed with the name Rose Night. Next, Miss Anna, please taste a little dessert. Alan had someone open the jar of maltose, revealing the dark yellow maltose inside. What is this? Anna had already put down all her arrogance and contempt. She looked at Alan with anticipation in her gentle voice. Maltose, a little dessert, I hope Miss Anna likes it. Alan asked someone to bring Anna a small spoon. Anna dug out a spoonful of maltose, and the viscous maltose pulled out long threads. How viscous! Anna exclaimed, and then put a small spoonful of maltose into her mouth. In an instant, Anna's expression became excited. So sweet, such a sweet taste, this is the sweetest food I have ever eaten in my life. Heavens, are my chefs and pastry chefs dog brains? Anna couldn't help but curse her chefs excitedly. After all, in her opinion, she had spent a lot of gold coins to support them, but they couldn't make such sweet things. After seeing Anna's reaction, Alan's smile became even brighter. Then, beautiful and noble Miss Anna, may I ask, do I have the qualifications to get your support now? Alan's voice made Anna's expression stiff. This overly beautiful woman was very tangled in her heart. But soon she let out a breath. She had already decided that she must win these 3 treasures today. This could completely allow her position in the family to get a huge boost. Number 29 to 29. Moreover, she believed that Alan would definitely not let her down. Although Alan was a country baronet, he had enough ambition, amazing talent and ability, and wisdom far beyond ordinary people. This was the information Anna learned after contacting Alan. Such a talent, except for hearing that his cultivation was a bit mediocre, was perfect in all other aspects. Lord, you have convinced me. I cannot refuse your conditions. If you give these 3 items to our Roland Chamber of Commerce for sale and promise me 40% of the profits, then I, Anna Roland, can give you all the support you want. Anna said to Alan seriously. Very good, Miss Anna, you will definitely not regret today's decision. Alan said happily. Soon, the 2 directly signed a commercial contract. From that moment on, Alan and Anna formed an alliance. Although it was different from the expected support from the Roland Chamber of Commerce, Alan also knew that his current status was still too low, and it was good enough to get Anna's support. He could feel that this beautiful woman's position in the Roland Chamber of Commerce must not be low. Soon, Alan took Anna to visit his factory and handed over the first batch of goods produced in the factory to Anna. Baron, I hope you can expand your factory in the future, 10 times, no, 100 times is fine. Your current production is too low. Anna said speechlessly before leaving. Of course, but you also know that I haven't had much energy to expand the factory recently. I will have someone handle this matter. Alan nodded slightly. Of course, he would expand the scale. Then I'll take my leave, Baron. I hope that soon, I can hear about your glorious deeds on the battlefield, and I also hope that the next time I meet you, I can call you Viscount. Anna smiled slightly. After she finished speaking, she left directly by car. Subscribe to Chinese Novel Audio Wave. Chapter 48 Training Mission. After seeing Anna off, Alan and Sparrow rode back to the castle. Sparrow, here are 50,000 gold coins. Starting today, increase the scale of the factory for me, recruit a large number of workers. From today onwards, we will no longer be poor. From today onwards, the name of Rose Town will resound throughout the Thornflower territory, and then slowly resound throughout the entire Ryan Principality. Alan said heroically and proudly. Sparrow also smiled so hard that he couldn't close his mouth. He knew that Rose Town would completely change from today onwards. The poor town of the past would become a thing of the past from today onwards. This is all thanks to the Lord. Oh, the Lord is really amazing. Alan directly gave Sparrow 50,000 gold coins and asked him to handle it. If it wasn't enough, he could ask him for more money. Sparrow left happily. Alan returned to the study. Now he has developed a habit of going to the study to think about things. Currently, in terms of agriculture, with the 6 spirits of nature, I am not necessarily much worse than the Earl's territory, only lacking a ferry. Since the spirits of nature can be obtained by doing tasks, the ferry can also be obtained. At worst, there will be war missions, and then I can exchange for the ferry with merit. In terms of commerce, the problem of Rose Town has been completely solved today. After the factory starts to expand and the goods are sold, forming a huge chain of funds, the economic level of Rose Town will develop by leaps and bounds. What's left is industry and force. Industry cannot be developed for the time being. The territory is too small. Now what restricts me is no longer the backwardness and poverty of the territory, but the scope of the territory. Unknowingly, I already possess strength far exceeding that of a baronial territory. Now what I need most is to improve my title. Just wait for the war to begin. Alan focused his attention on the war mission column prompted by the system. Countdown. 1 month and 18 days. There is still 1 month left. First, cultivate warriors, knights, sea cavalry, and wolf cavalry. Alan has almost no other things to interfere with. He only needs to focus on cultivating his army. As for the task, I believe the Roland Chamber of Commerce can help me complete it perfectly. 1 week later. Just 3 days later, Alan, who was cultivating, received a system prompt. Congratulations, host, the mission is complete. Obtained 10,000 experience points, a potion master. Alan showed a slight smile. He finally completed the mission. Sure enough, the speed of a large chamber of commerce is different. In just 3 days, it made the name of Rose Town famous throughout the Thornflower territory. Alan immediately called up the system to check the new mission after the update. Mission: train troops. The territory has been completely transformed. As a baron, you have achieved great achievements. Perhaps you are the richest baron in the entire principality, but as just a baron, you yearn for a higher position. Status and power are often based on economy and guaranteed by force. Whether it is the upcoming national war or the difficulties encountered in the future, you need a strong army as a guarantee. After 3 weeks of training, the sea cavalry has achieved great achievements. They cooperate tacitly, they are high-spirited, and they yearn to conquer the sea. But they lack training and lack experience in naval warfare. Led them to complete a battle. Maybe you should go to the coast of the Blue Moon Principality to take a look. Mission reward: 3,000 experience points. The system's mission made Alan smile. The system still knows my heart. I have been too busy recently, so I haven't paid much attention to the progress of the sea cavalry. It seems that these guys have completed the task I gave them, so it's time to go to the Blue Moon Principality to take a look. Alan quickly completed today's cultivation task, then directly took out his knight's sword and walked towards the seaside. On the way, he saw Marco, who was training the core warriors. At this moment, the first batch of warriors was about to be trained. Marco told Alan that he was already selecting the second batch of warriors. Recently, Alan gave Marco a large sum of money to buy weapons, buy tools needed for training, and even let him add meals to the warriors. This made the warriors high-spirited and extremely active in training. At the same time, it also allowed them to receive the most complete training. In addition to some combat skills, Alan also equipped them with bows and arrows in this training. After listening to Marco's report, Alan said with a smile, "Marco, I'm going to equip them with a batch of war horses." Marco was overjoyed when he heard this, war horses. Could it be that the Lord wants to train a batch of cavalry? You must know that the combat effectiveness of cavalry is far superior to that of ordinary warriors. It's just that war horses are important resources, not only expensive but also hard to find. Only great nobles can train cavalry. Lord, do you want to train cavalry? These days, you have been constantly envious of warriors, training sea cavalry, knights, and even wanting to train a huge cavalry. Could it be that the Lord is preparing to participate in the war? But I haven't heard that the Principality has any wars going on with foreign countries recently. Marco finally couldn't help but ask Alan. Chapter 49 Withered Wallet, Sea Cavalry asks for battle. Ha ha ha, Marco, you are indeed a person who has been on the battlefield. Your senses are very keen. Alan didn't hide it when he heard this, and said directly, I predict that in more than a month, the Blue Moon Principality and our Ryan Principality will break out into a national war. At that time, we must participate. National war. Marco was shocked. National war is the most cruel war on the entire continent. It is a war of national strength, often leading to national destruction and family ruin. Marco had not experienced such a large-scale war. Marco did not doubt Alan's words. After so many things, Marco believed that Alan was not the kind of person who would joke about the national war. If it is a national war, this is both a crisis and an opportunity. Marco was slightly worried. Lord, our Rose town is close to the seaside. Once a national war breaks out, we may be on the front line of the battlefield. This is a fatal blow to Rose town. Alan nodded when he heard this. You are right. If the war breaks out in our Rose town, it is indeed a fatal blow. So, Marco, change your thinking. Just change the battlefield to another place. Alan's words made Marco slightly stunned. What does the Lord mean? We have sea cavalry, Marco. Do you think that I already have 20 sea lion beasts and have no ability to summon many more sea lion beasts? Alan showed a smile. With the magic beasts in the sea to resist the enemy for us, the flames of war will not reach Rose town. Marco's expression was slightly surprised when he heard this. Lord, are you saying that you are going to train sea cavalry? Marco had seen the huge power of the sea lion beast before. In the sea, it can easily destroy a 3-masted sailing ship. This is simply a sea combat fortress. If it is naval warfare, the sea cavalry is definitely a force that makes the enemy desperate. Well, I have this idea, so you have to hurry up and train the warriors. After this batch of warriors is trained, you select a group of people, about 30 people from the sea, and first form a sea cavalry of 50 people. Alan said, he estimated that a sea cavalry of 50 people was enough to protect the entire Rose town, and even a part of the sea cavalry could be transferred to actively attack the Blue Moon Principality. Of course, the main thing is that Alan doesn't have much money in his hand now. A sea lion beast, the system's price is 2,000 gold coins. Damn it, it's too expensive. 30 heads are 60,000 gold coins. 60,000. Before, Alan gave Sparrow 50,000 gold coins to expand the factory scale, and gave Marco 10,000 gold coins to train warriors. This almost emptied Alan's pockets. Yes, Lord, I will select the most elite warriors. I will send them to the Lord in just 2 days. Marco said loudly immediately. Well, go ahead, I will send a batch of war horses later. After Alan finished speaking, he left here and went to the place where his personal guards were training. Now these 10 people are getting closer and closer to being knights. I believe it won't be long before they can become formal knights. And just right, Alan should be able to obtain a potion master in the next few days, and he has a large number of potions, so he can completely train a batch of knights with good strength. Number 30 to 30. My lord. Seeing Alan riding over on his horse, the personal guards who were practicing mounted combat immediately stopped their training and dismounted to salute Alan. Yes, how is the training going? Alan asked with a smile. My lord, we have mastered the basics of horsemanship, learned the secrets of battle chi, and greatly improved our swordsmanship and archery. Someone said excitedly. Alan nodded with a smile. Warriors, train hard, and in a few days, I will replace your mounts. My lord, is it a magical beast? Someone asked boldly. They were very envious of the marine cavalry being able to have magical beasts as mounts. Of course. Alan's answer made them cheer. At the same time, Alan also told the news to the last 40 people in the first batch of warriors. When Alan told them that he was going to form a wolf cavalry, these 40 warriors were almost in tears. They finally stood up. Of course, Alan also took the opportunity to incorporate these 40 guys into his personal guard reserve team, waiting for the knight training acceleration card to arrive, and then they could be officially transferred. From today onwards, Alan's personal guard will be called the Wolf Cavalry. Finally, Alan slowly walked to the beach, just in time to see 20 marine cavalrymen resting. My warriors, how is the training going? Alan's voice made the 20 marine cavalrymen stand up straight. My lord, we already have enough understanding with the sea lion beasts. After speaking, the 20 marine cavalrymen drove the sea lion beasts and began to demonstrate on the sea. Alan watched for a while and confirmed that these marine cavalrymen were indeed able to cooperate perfectly with the sea lion beasts. Very good, warriors, I think you haven't forgotten what I said when first formed the Marine Cavalry. I said, I will repay blood with blood, and tooth with tooth. Alan's words immediately made the Marine cavalrymen's eyes light up. Of course, they would not forget Alan's words. They had been waiting impatiently for a long time. If Alan hadn't come today, they would have gone to the castle to ask Alan for a battle tomorrow. My lord, never forget. Repay blood with blood, and tooth with tooth. My lord, we want to ask for a battle. Chapter 50 Blue Moon Principality, Little Island Viscount. Looking at the faces full of fighting spirit, Alan felt very satisfied. What he needed were such warriors. Of course, warriors, I am here today for this matter. It is time to fight back against the Blue Moon Principality's bastards. Alan said loudly. After speaking, he dismounted directly and walked towards the sea. Today I am here to go to the Blue Moon Principality with you to teach them a lesson. Alan held the knight's sword in his hand, with some expectation in his eyes. What? My lord is going with us. The Marine cavalrymen were immediately shocked. Originally, they thought that they would go by themselves, but they didn't expect Alan to go with them. Of course, as the lord, is there a problem with leading you to fight? Alan asked back. My lord, the battlefield is too dangerous. Your identity is noble, let us do it, we will definitely teach those bastards a lesson. The Marine cavalrymen said. Of course, they didn't not want Alan to go with them, but they were afraid of encountering danger. Bullshit. It is because it is dangerous that I want to be with you. Don't forget, I, Alan, am the strongest in the entire territory. After Alan finished speaking, his whole body burst out with battle chi, a powerful force that shocked the Marine cavalrymen. Yes, my lord is the strongest here. The Marine cavalrymen suddenly woke up. I'm going with you, lest you a bunch of stupid guys go straight to someone else's royal capital. Alan rolled his eyes and muttered. He felt that being with warriors should have the characteristics of warriors. Hee, my lord, you are right, then we will all listen to my lord's arrangement. The Marine cavalrymen touched their heads. Their thinking was indeed simple, that is to go straight to the Blue Moon Principality, and attack wherever they go. There are no tactics at all, just one word, do it. Alan rolled his eyes, and didn't say any nonsense. He directly sat on a sea lion beast and led the Marine cavalry directly out to sea. As a 6th level knight, he was completely able to sit firmly on the back of the sea lion beast without too much training. The sea lion beast is indeed a magical beast in the sea, and it is still an ancient magical species. Its speed in the sea is several times faster than ships. Even these magical beasts can drill into the seabed, at that time they swim faster. However, considering that the Marine cavalrymen are just ordinary warriors and cannot stay underwater for too long, the sea lion beasts did not enter the seabed to move forward. This also made Alan more determined to cultivate these Marine cavalrymen into real knights. As long as they become knights, then relying on battle chi, they can stay underwater for a longer time. Since the last time the Blue Moon Principality came to attack, Alan has inquired about the Blue Moon Principality. He still knows the location of the Blue Moon Principality. Soon, under his guidance, the sea lion beast saw a huge island. Alan did not act rashly, but let the sea lion beasts wander around. He found that this Blue Moon Principality was actually a country composed of islands. On the largest island, it should be where the Grand Duke of the Blue Moon Principality and some marquises and earls stay. In fact, the area of that island is not small. At least Alan let the sea lion beast swim for half a day before seeing the end of the island. Alan estimated that the island is at least half the size of the Ryan Principality. And besides this largest delay, Alan found that around this island, more or less, there are also some delays. Some of them are big, some are small. The big ones are almost the size of an earl's territory. The small ones are the size of a viscount's territory. After wandering around for a long time, the original day also turned into night. My lord, what shall we do? The Marine cavalrymen who found the destination became excited one by one. These guys were holding spears in their hands, and there was a long sword on their waists. With a look of bandits, they couldn't wait to kill the island and ravage it. Alan was speechless. He thought for a while and said, pick a few smaller islands to practice. The Marine cavalrymen nodded immediately, driving the sea lion beast slowly closer to a small island. The night is actually a wonderful time for the nobles. The Viscount of the Blue Moon Principality was flirting with his lover. As for who the lover is, of course, it is not his wife, but the wife of a baron on a nearby island. The two are dating in the woods on the edge of the island. Suddenly, a group of strong men came out of the bushes next to them. The leader is a gorgeously dressed teenager. Oh, there are two people here. When Alan saw two disheveled men and women in the bushes, a trace of surprise flashed in his eyes, but soon he saw that the identities of these two people were unusual. After all, the difference between the clothes of the nobles and the common people is too big. Boss, what about these two dogs? The Marine cavalryman did not expect that the infiltration plan was discovered as soon as it started. Suddenly, each of them showed a fierce light, and some people even drew their swords. This directly made the Viscount's face turn green. Don't hurt me, I am the Viscount of the Blue Moon Principality. If you dare to hurt me, the Blue Moon Principality will never let you go. The man said in horror. It's just that he didn't expect that as soon as he finished speaking, Alan laughed. Breaking through the iron shoes to find nowhere, it takes no effort to get it. This guy is the Lord here. Chapter 51 Robbing the Viscount of the Blue Moon Principality. Viscount, right, Alan said to the man with a smile. The man nodded, wanting to say something, but was knocked down directly by Alan with a punch. Ouch! The Viscount was rolling on the ground in pain. Obviously this noble does not seem to have cultivated battle chi. Tie them up and take them away, I'm going to extort them. Alan smiled. I didn't expect this Viscount to be so powerful. He took the initiative to send it to the door. With the Lord here in his hands, Alan directly led the people swaggeringly to the interior of the island. Along the way, he looked around with his eyes. As for what to look at, do you need to say? Of course it is the spirit of nature. Number 31 to 31. With natural spirits around, there must be magical plants, and those are worth a lot of money. Since I'm here to strike back against the Blue Moon Duchy, it doesn't make sense to just sneak in and run. I've come all this way. Why not grab a few natural spirits, some powerful magical plants, and some gold coins to take back? Wouldn't that be great? Hey, do you have any natural spirits? Alan asked the Blue Moon Duchy Viscount, who was still a bit dazed. Alan's question finally snapped the Viscount back to reality. Damn you! You not only attack nobles, but you also want to steal my natural spirit. The Viscount was furious, cursing Alan loudly while also shouting for help. His cries for help quickly attracted attention, and Alan and his men also approached the Viscount's castle. Who is it? How dare you attack a noble? Capture them and rescue the Lord. Soon, the Viscount's warriors appeared, led by a level 4 Silver Knight, accompanied by a level 3 Bronze Knight. Besides them, there were 20 ordinary soldiers. Alan was a little surprised that this Viscount could support 2 knights, one of whom was a Silver Knight. Under the command of the Silver Knight, the warriors began to approach Alan and his men. Alan didn't care at all. With his strength, he had nothing to worry about. He turned to the sea cavalry and said, "Brothers, the chance for revenge is here." After speaking, he erupted with level 6 Knight's aura, causing the opposing Silver Knight to look like he'd seen a ghost. Level 6 Knight. Damn it, these guys aren't ordinary pirates. The Silver Knight only managed to say one sentence before being directly struck by Alan's sword aura, sending him flying like a kite with a broken string, landing on the ground motionless. Harry. The Bronze Knight looked in horror at the motionless, lifeless Silver Knight on the ground, feeling a sense of despair. Die, you bastard. Alan showed no mercy, directly killing the Bronze Knight with another sword strike, and then effortlessly dealt with the other surrounding soldiers. Finally, he grabbed the terrified, trembling Viscount in one hand, held his knight's sword in the other, and kicked open the castle gate. Brothers, search. Gold coins, natural spirits, magic potions, anything valuable, bring it all to me. Alan waved his hand, and the 20 sea cavalrymen immediately scattered, causing chaos in the castle. The maids' screams rose and fell. Alan didn't care about any of this. He sat down casually on the sofa in the hall, watching the servants and women being chased around the castle by the sea cavalrymen, without stopping them. Soon, the sea cavalrymen had searched the entire castle, finding a box of gold coins, some magical plants, and, of course, a somewhat confused natural spirit that didn't know what was going on. These were all the Viscount's possessions. Although it's a bit little, it's still something stolen from someone else. It's good to have something. Alan said with a smile, and with a wave of his hand, the gold coins and magical plants were put into his inventory. Kessie. Alan looked at the somewhat quiet natural spirit in front of him, a hint of a smile appearing in his eyes. This little guy was the biggest gain this time. Then he glanced at the Viscount kneeling on the ground. No, you can't. This is the Ironwood family's natural spirit, the glory of our Ironwood family. I would rather die than break the contract. Before he could finish speaking, he was pinned to the ground and beaten by a sea cavalryman. You only have two choices, death or breaking the contract. After a violent beating and Alan's deadly threat, the Viscount quickly broke the contract. It seemed that in the face of painful death, family honor was nothing but bullshit. Alan directly signed a contract with the natural spirit. Kessie, you'll be with me from now on. Alan touched Kessie's little head, then swaggered out of the castle and found Kessie's main body, which was a small cabbage. Alan carefully dug out the cabbage, and Kessie quickly fell into a deep sleep. Under normal circumstances, it's best not to move the natural spirit's main body, as it will more or less affect the natural spirit's vitality. But Alan had no choice. He couldn't just leave Kessie's main body here. Moreover, Alan also had a way to restore Kessie's vitality. He would need the Roland Chamber of Commerce's help. Alan remembered that there was something called natural dew that could make up for the natural spirit's lost vitality. Chapter 52, Stealing People and Ships Back Home. Alan and his party swaggered in, arrogantly killed 2 knights, rampaged through the castle, stole gold coins, and even seized a natural spirit, then swaggered away. No one on the entire island could stop them. Alan clearly felt the power of his strength at this moment. A level 6 knight, plus 20 sea cavalrymen, if the other party had less than 50 people, Alan could unscrupulously rob them. After experiencing a robbery, Alan discovered the charm of war. That's right, it's plunder. The greatest and most attractive charm of war is plunder. Seizing land, seizing resources, seizing natural spirits, seizing gold coins. Plunder makes people rich. Alan thought with emotion. Subscribe to Chinese novel Audio Wave. Although he only robbed a Viscount, he directly gained 10,000 gold coins, magical plants worth several thousand, and a priceless treasure, a natural spirit. How long did that take? Just an hour. He directly obtained so much wealth. And this was just a Viscount from a poor maritime duchy. If it were a Viscount from the mainland, with a medium to high level of wealth, their property would probably be several times greater. Sir, shall we continue? The group returned to the sea. At this moment, the Viscount probably hadn't had time to notify other nobles of their existence. If they continue to rob a few more. Alan was a little tempted. Originally, he thought of robbing 1 Viscount to complete the mission. But he didn't expect robbery to be so great. Choose a few more targets. Damn it, we'll make a good profit today. We can't let them have an easy time. Alan immediately made a decision. Robbing the enemy was too great, even he couldn't help but want to do it a few more times. After all, he had really been spending too much recently. Maybe robbing a few more could replenish his small treasury. Alan thought, and the group chose another target and began the second round of robbery. With the experience of the first time, the second time was easy. The only difference was that this time he caught the lord after breaking into the castle. The second Viscount was a genuine pauper, without even a natural spirit. Alan took all the gold coins in the castle with extreme disgust, and then spat on the ground. At the third Viscount's place, Alan obtained another natural spirit. It was an apple tree natural spirit. Fortunately, the apple tree wasn't particularly large, otherwise it would have been quite difficult to take away. After robbing 3 times in a row, Alan had already harvested more than 50,000 gold coins. He had almost calmed down and was preparing to take his men back to the territory. And at this moment, he saw a 3-masted sailing ship sailing out from an earl's island towards the largest island in the center. Oh, this logo. Alan looked closely. Wasn't this the logo of the angry bear earl? Alan looked at the ferocious bear head on the ship and immediately changed his mind. Everyone, follow that ship. Wait until they sail a little further away, then rob them directly. Alan whispered his instructions. Soon, 20 sea lion beasts quietly approached behind the 3-masted sailing ship. Until the ship was far away from the angry Bear Earl's territory and hadn't approached the largest island in the center. Alan directly ordered to attack. The sea lion beast's powerful strength was instantly revealed. They instantly stirred up huge waves, directly surrounding the three-masted sailing ship, and then controlled the direction of the water flow, directly taking the ship away. Why take the ship away? Of course, it was because Alan didn't have a ship. The national war was about to break out, and he didn't even have a ship. What kind of system was that? At the moment he saw the ship, Alan had a bold idea in his mind. Maybe he could steal a few ships back these days. Soon, Alan and his men returned to Rose Town. At the same time, the sailors on the ship were dumbfounded. Just now, they were originally transporting supplies and tributes to the Blue Moon Grand Duke. The journey was originally peaceful and stable, just like usual, but the next moment, the sea water suddenly surged up. At that moment, even the captain, who had decades of sailing experience, despaired. Such a huge wave could definitely crush a three-masted sailing ship. Everyone thought they were doomed. Unexpectedly, the sea water just wrapped them up, and everyone was immediately dumbfounded. Number 32 to 32. When the seawater receded, they discovered that they were on a shore, surrounded by 20 ferocious and terrifying magical beasts. This scene almost scared the old captain to death. Fortunately, Alan appeared in time, preventing the old captain from passing out. However, the handsome young man just smiled and said to them, "Welcome to the Duchy of Leyline, Rose Town. I am the lord here, and my name is Alan." In an instant, all the sailors were stunned, wondering how they had ended up in the Duchy of Leyline. They looked at the surrounding magical beasts and then at Alan, seemingly understanding something. This lord of the Duchy of Leyline had directly snatched them, along with their ship and everything else, from the Blue Moon Duchy. Chapter 53, A Great Harvest, Numbed Iron. Everyone on the ship exchanged glances, and in the end, they were all tied up by the sea cavalry and taken away. Previously, when Alan had people build more houses, he had deliberately had a few prison cells built. Mainly because the last time he imprisoned Rex and his group, the smell was too awful. Even now, Alan is unwilling to approach the basement of his castle. So he built a few spacious prison cells. After having these sailors locked up, Alan instructed the sea cavalry to keep a close watch on the three-masted sailing ship. After all, this was the first three-masted sailing ship in his Rose Town. This could be said to be a major step in the maritime history of Rose Town. Alan first went to find Marco and had him lead a group of warriors who were training onto the three-masted sailing ship. It must be said that the three-masted sailing ship was already quite large. In addition to various cargo holds, it could also accommodate 100 people, making it the most common seagoing vessel on the continent. Soon, Marco returned to the shore with a look of surprise on his face. "Lord, this ship contains 100,000 gold coins and 3 boxes of magical potions. There are also various other supplies," Marco said excitedly. Alan also revealed a surprised expression upon hearing this. Then, he looked a little strange. At the time, he didn't think there was anything special about this ship, he just happened to bring it back when he was about to stop. He didn't expect this to be a ship transporting treasures. Then the Earl of Angry Bear must have suffered heavy losses when this ship disappeared. Soon, the warriors moved all the supplies and gold coins from the ship. Alan had people send them directly to the castle, while he had people carefully carry a small cabbage and an apple tree back to the vicinity of the castle as quickly as possible. Alan chose 2 open spaces and planted them in the ground. Soon, 2 spirits of nature awoke from Alan's arms, but after experiencing a transfer, the 2 little ones seemed a little listless and sickly. This made Alan feel extremely distressed. He first had people make 2 soft, small beds for these 2 newcomers. Then, without introducing them too much to Amy and the others, he put them on the beds. Afterward, Alan gave each of the 2 little ones a magic crystal, hoping to make up for their vitality. This was something that had to be endured every time the spirit of nature's main body was transplanted. If one was not careful, the spirit of nature might suffer a great loss of vitality and eventually die. So this made Alan extremely concerned. He took care of the 2 little ones for a while, and after the 2 new spirits of nature fell asleep, Alan told Amy and the others to be quiet and not to make trouble. He specifically repaired Fenny a bit, telling her not to sing anymore. The little ones were very sensible. After discovering that the two new companions were not feeling very well, they all quieted down. Seeing Amy and the others being so well behaved, Alan breathed a sigh of relief. He hadn't spoiled them for nothing. Giving each of them a magic crystal, Alan went back to his room to rest. This time, it had been a lot of tossing and turning until the middle of the night, but the harvest was naturally great. Alan went back to get a good night's sleep first. Early the next morning, Alan had people go to the Earl's territory to contact Roland Merchant Guild to purchase Dew of Nature. Only the Dew of Nature could quickly restore the spirit of nature's vitality. However, the price was definitely very expensive. Of course, Alan didn't care about the money now. After all, he had just robbed the nobles of the Blue Moon Duchy yesterday, and now he was rich again. However, before the people he sent to buy the Dew of Nature had returned, Iron came to Rose Town with several middle-aged men. At this moment, Iron had almost recovered. His handsome face had returned to its original state after experiencing dimensional reduction, and he had finally broken through to become a level 5 knight not long ago. His strength had greatly increased. His whole person had become confident again. This was all Alan's credit. If Alan hadn't given him too much stimulation, this Viscount would still be living a life of extravagance, indulging in various social activities every day, and indulging in the soft beds of beautiful young ladies from various families. But now, this Viscount has finally realized his previous laziness and began to cultivate diligently once again. At the same time, having regained his confidence, he secretly swore in his heart that he must surpass Alan. However, this time he came to Rose Town on behalf of his father, Albert. Getting off the carriage, Iron saw the familiar, punchable smiling face that he least wanted to see right now. "Oh, my dear brother, why have you come?" Alan said with a smile. This time, he didn't plan to do any more business of selling magic plants with Iron. He was now starting to train knights, and he also needed the magic plants for his own use. Moreover, he would soon be able to obtain a magic potionist. At that time, he could completely process the magic plants into magic potions. Whether he used them himself or sold them, the value would be much higher. "Father asked me to bring people to see your gold mine," Iron said numbly. Note: accurate. If water. First. Hair group. Number 6. 5 feet 6, 6, 1, 8, 8. 9, 6. Group. Number 3. 0, 0 inches 0, 3, 1, 4 inches, 2, 7. At this moment, he was really numb to everything in Alan's Rose Town. First, there were the continuous spirits of nature, then the gold mine, and recently, strong wine made in Rose Town, Rose Night, perfume made in Rose Town, Rose perfume, and malt sugar made in Rose Town appeared in Thorn's Flower City. In short, these 2 days, Iron's ears were full of the words Rose Town. Rose Town seemed to have suddenly made everyone in the entire Thorn's Flower territory know about it. Chapter 54, Viscount Iron faints. "Ah, the gold mine, there is indeed such a thing," Alan said with a slight realization. Although it has only been a day or two since the discovery of the gold mine, Alan has indeed had a lot of things to do during this period, and since he has already arranged this matter for Sparrow, he didn't pay much attention to it at all. It wasn't until Iron came with people today that he remembered that he still had a gold mine. Iron's mouth twitched. Seeing Alan's appearance as if he didn't care about the gold mine at all, he felt a sour feeling in his heart. A gold mine is equivalent to a pile of gold coins. Alan actually didn't care at all. Iron sighed in his heart. If he had a gold mine in his territory, he might have jumped up with joy long ago. Alan is really completely different from before. Iron looked at Alan's confident and sunny appearance, and felt a little sour in his heart. "Let's go, let's see how good the gold mine is." Alan waved his hand and led Iron and the others through the town to the mining area that had been isolated. "Every time I come, your Rose Town has undergone tremendous changes." Iron was a little shocked. The scale of Rose Town had expanded several times compared to before. There were crops everywhere, farmers everywhere, and there were also pastures and some factories in the distance. Now this Rose Town is a thriving scene. "Ha ha ha, that's for sure." As a lord, it is incompetence if I cannot keep the territory developing and progressing at all times. Alan said lightly. Soon, a few people walked into the mining area. Alan also had some people come over to mine some ore for iron and the others to see. This is really a gold mine, and the quality is good, belonging to the middle and upper grades. According to what Lord Alan said, it should be a small and medium-sized ore vein, but it is enough to be worth 100,000 gold coins. Soon, the middle-aged men brought by iron behind him basically determined the quality and value of the gold mine. Iron couldn't help but gasp when he heard this. 100,000 gold coins. Iron's gaze towards Alan became extremely complicated. Gods, what is so good about Alan that you favor him so much? He can pick up spirits of nature at will, and he can find gold mines casually. What is going on? Is he the protagonist in a legendary story? Alan, we can offer 80,000 gold coins to buy it directly. You will send people to be responsible for mining and transport the mined ore to Thorn's Flower territory every week. Of course, we will be responsible for the money of those miners. Iron said to Alan after a brief moment of sourness. Deal. My dear brother, to be honest, I just like straightforward people like you. Alan nodded with a smile. Okay, I will have someone send the money over later. Iron said. He looked at Alan. Have you not discovered any spirits of nature recently? Alan hadn't discovered any spirits of nature recently, which made Iron feel a little surprised. Of course, he must have breathed a sigh of relief in his heart. Number 33 to 33. If Alan keeps picking up nature spirits every day, that would be terrible. Doesn't Thorn Flower territory only have 5 or 6 nature spirits? Alan getting 3 nature spirits is already a gift from heaven. Ah, you're asking about nature spirits. I recently acquired 2, but because I transplanted the plant body, the nature spirits have been somewhat injured. But don't worry, I've already sent someone to the Roland Merchant Guild to buy nature's due. I believe they will recover soon. Alan smiled slightly upon hearing this, revealing a smile that would drive Elon crazy. What? 2? So you have 5 nature spirits now? Elon exclaimed loudly, unable to suppress the shock in his heart. What is the concept of 5 nature spirits? Even Earl Albert only has 5 or 6 nature spirits. Alan, a small baron, has actually reached parity with the Earl in terms of the number of nature spirits. Elon simply couldn't believe it. If this goes on for a few days, wouldn't Alan directly have 10 or 20 nature spirits? Thinking of this, the sourness in Elon's heart became even stronger. Ah, 5. Alan shook his head slightly. My dear brother, how could I possibly have 5 nature spirits? You must have miscalculated. Alan's words stunned Elon. You mean you don't have 5 nature spirits? Could it be that something unexpected happened to this guy's previous nature spirits? Thinking of this, Elon felt sorry again. Although they weren't his nature spirits, Alan was still his own brother. The loss from an accident with a nature spirit would be too great. A look of sympathy immediately appeared in Elon's eyes as he looked at Alan. Of course, I don't have 5. Let me count, 8 nature spirits, I guess. Alan said after thinking for a moment. Elon felt like his heart couldn't handle this sudden surprise. 8, he said loudly, and then the whole person fainted straight down. Chapter 55 Divine Warhorse. The First Cavalry. Closing parenthesis. Heaven knows how the poor Viscount Elon left Rose Town. Anyway, after Alan woke him up with his battle aura, Elon strongly demanded to see the nature spirits in Alan's castle. Helpless, Alan could only take him to see them. As a result, Elon was petrified after seeing 8 living nature spirits. He was even carried away when he left. For some reason, Alan's mood suddenly became cheerful. Alan estimated that the nature's due would not be delivered until tomorrow, so after sending Elon away, Alan spent some effort on the 2 newly acquired nature spirits. These 2 nature spirits, one named Kosi, is a cabbage nature spirit, and the other is named Duo Duo. Subscribe to Chinese Novel Audio Wave. The 2 little guys still don't have much vitality and look a little listless. Alan took care of them, hoping that the nature's due could be delivered sooner. It wasn't until evening that Alan took the time to go to the training ground again. Today was the last day of training for the first batch of 500 warriors. Alan came here, of course, to fulfill his previous promise. He wanted to let his warriors all have a warhorse. He still knew how big the gap between cavalry and infantry was. Lord. Marco saluted Alan. After a week of training and the buff of the acceleration card, 500 warriors had completed their training. Looking at the newly baked warriors, a trace of pride rose in Alan's heart. Finally, he also had a team of hundreds of people. I am here today to fulfill my promise. I have already told Marco before that my warriors must be the most outstanding warriors on the entire continent. How can the most outstanding warriors not have warhorses? Alan's voice resounded throughout the training ground, and a gleam of light flashed in the eyes of all the warriors. As Alan said, warriors, who wouldn't want to have a warhorse? Having a warhorse can instantly improve the warrior's mobility and even combat power. I am here today to give you warhorses. As Alan spoke, Marco's expression changed slightly. Lord, we haven't bought warhorses yet. Marco reminded in a low voice. Alan smiled. Marco, don't forget the power I possess. Alan's eyes were full of confidence. The warhorses we buy are mostly of mixed quality. How can they be worthy of my warriors? My warriors will receive a gift from the gods. In the direction of my finger, warhorses will come galloping. As Alan spoke, he waved his right hand slightly, pointing to the woods not far away. Instantly, the entire earth began to vibrate. Our warhorses are here. Alan showed a smile. As soon as he finished speaking, everyone saw tall and handsome warhorses galloping out of the woods, heading towards everyone. The earth began to tremble with the galloping of the warhorses. Warhorses. They really are warhorses. The warriors widened their eyes, and everyone cheered excitedly. Marco's eyes were about to pop out. He also took the warriors into the woods over there for training. He could guarantee that there was nothing inside. Even today, just a short time ago, they had just finished training inside. There were clearly no warhorses there. But the Lord pointed his finger, and a large group of tall and handsome warhorses actually ran out. Is this another miracle? Marco's throat was a little dry. No matter how many times he saw this mysterious and unpredictable power, he would feel incomparably shocked. Alan's expression was calm. Soon, the warhorses ran to the front of everyone. They stopped running and stopped directly in front of everyone. All right, my warriors, one horse for each person, and the rest are for the next batch of warriors. Alan waved his hand, allowing the warriors to choose their own warhorses. Soon, 500 people happily and excitedly led their warhorses back to the team. In addition to the 500 warhorses they had chosen, there were still 500 warhorses in place. With a wave of his hand, the remaining warhorses turned their heads very obediently and gently back to the surrounding woods, quietly waiting for the arrival of the next batch of warriors. This scene left Marco dumbfounded. Such obedient and gentle warhorses were indeed a gift from the gods. All right, my warriors, from today onwards, practice your horsemanship well. I hope that soon, we will be able to fight side by side on the battlefield. Alan said. The 500 warriors in front of him immediately knelt on the ground. We are willing to charge into battle for you, Lord. Alan encouraged them a few more words, and then left the place to Marco. He himself was thinking about going into the distance. From today onwards, Rosetown officially has cavalry. Similarly, from today onwards, Rosetown will have a 50-man wolf cavalry. Soon, Alan walked to the front of the first batch of warriors. These 40 people and the 10 people who were about to become knights would form the first wolf cavalry in his hands. Chapter 56 Wolf Cavalry established, surrendering sailors. Lord. In front of Alan, 50 people stood straight, saluting Alan respectfully. Well, I said before that I would let you have magical beast mounts, and today is the day to fulfill that promise. Alan said to the 50 people in front of him. Really, Lord? These guys' eyes lit up, and they all became excited. When have I ever deceived you? Alan smiled faintly. He silently opened the system, took out the Silver Moon Wolf's biological card, and used it directly. Soon, 50 magical beasts that were 2 to 3 meters long and half the height of a person appeared on the spot. They had a fierce aura and were covered in silver-white fur, looking extremely handsome and majestic. This is the magical beast I promised you, the Silver Moon Wolf. Alan smiled slightly. What a handsome magical beast. Are they called Silver Moon Wolves? Someone said in surprise. That's right, my warriors, they now belong to you. Alan smiled and said, what you have to do now is to cultivate enough tacit understanding with them as soon as possible. Soon, I will need you to follow me on the battlefield to establish meritorious service and gain glory. We swear to follow you to the death, Lord. Hearing Alan's words, immediately, 50 people knelt down and swore. Alan nodded in satisfaction. Then he looked at the progress of the 10 knights he had trained. Now, some of them had developed true battle aura, and their combat power had soared. And the remaining people would soon become true knights. Alan was in a great mood. As the national war approached, the power in his hands became stronger and stronger. After leaving a few words of encouragement, Alan slowly returned to the castle to rest. Number 34 to 34. The next day at noon, the person Alan sent to purchase Nature's Dew had returned. He handed Alan 2 small bottles containing a small amount of light green liquid. Alan didn't hesitate and directly gave the 2 nature spirits the liquid to drink. Soon, the originally listless nature spirits regained their vitality. Only then did Alan relax. Now he finally had no more worries. At this moment, Alan's thoughts became active again. He looked at Kessie and Duoduo. After regaining their vitality, the 2 little fellows became much more lively and didn't show much rejection towards Alan, their new master. Looking at the 2 adorable nature spirits, Alan decided that such beautiful, gorgeous, and noble creatures were best kept in his own hands. Should he continue to stroll around the Blue Moon Duchy tonight? Since they were going to have a national war anyway, there was no need to feel embarrassed. They would be enemies sooner or later, so why not strike first? Alan felt that his idea was very correct and decided to go out again tonight. He would also bring back more ships. After all, he didn't have a shipyard here, and the upcoming national war would definitely require ships. Perhaps the national war would start with a naval battle. After deciding to wander around the Blue Moon Duchy tonight, Alan went to the prison where the sailors and captain of the previous 3-masted sailboat were held. Although it was called a prison, it was actually just a wooden house made of wood. However, it was enough to hold people. As long as they weren't powerful knights, there would be basically no problems. Lord. Alan brought a few servants here, and the warriors guarding the place immediately saluted Alan. Yes, open the door. I want to go in and chat with them. Alan said. Soon, the door was opened, and Alan walked in. This place was much more spacious than the basement of Alan's castle. All the sailors were held in separate small rooms. Which of you is the captain? Alan didn't waste any words after entering and spoke directly. It's me. An older man slowly spoke, walking to the doorway and looking at Alan. I'll give you a multiple choice question. The first option is to pledge allegiance to me and teach my people how to sail and navigate. The second option is to pledge allegiance to your country. I will have your heads chopped off and your bodies thrown into the sea. All right, I'm done. It's your turn to speak. Alan's simple and clear words surprised the experienced captain. However, the captain quickly made a choice. We choose to pledge allegiance to you, Your Excellency Lord. The captain's tone was calm, without any feelings of guilt. None of the sailors objected to the captain's decision. After all, they were just commoners. As for abandoning their lives for the Blue Moon Duchy, sorry, they couldn't do it. As commoners, wasn't living life the same wherever they were. Very good, you made the right choice. Someone, release them, take them to find a place to live, and provide them with some food so they can rest well. Alan didn't waste any time. After confirming their attitude, he directly released them. As for whether they were deceiving Alan, unless they were idiots, they wouldn't choose to deceive Alan, because they would be living under Alan's surveillance. Once there was any change, they would definitely die. Chapter 57, A Fallen Alchemist. Soon, I will have my own sailors, but I estimate that training sailors now won't be in time for the national war. Alan thought as he patrolled the territory. With Earl Albert present, I shouldn't have to worry too much about the ships. I don't have to worry about the sailors either, but the talents that should be cultivated still need to be cultivated. Alan strolled leisurely into the town and happened to see a middle-aged man wearing a robe who looked a bit down on his luck. He was currently in the small square of Rose Town. When he saw Alan, a glint of light flashed in his eyes. Your Excellency Lord, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Nick, and I am a beginner alchemist. Nick bowed slightly to Alan while wearing a robe. A slight smile flashed in Alan's eyes. His alchemist had arrived. "Hello Nick, I've been waiting for you for a long time," Alan said meaningfully. Nick was stunned when he heard this. He didn't expect Alan to say that. "Lord, you were waiting for me." Nick was a little confused. How was that possible? He had never told anyone that he was coming to Rose Town. How could this young lord know that he was coming and be waiting for him? "Don't doubt it. I received a revelation from the gods. I guess you must be here to join me," Alan said calmly. Nick was silent. Indeed, he was here to join this young lord. "That's right, Lord, I am here to pledge allegiance to you." Alan smiled. "I said, I know. Let's go, follow me to the castle." Originally, Alan planned to patrol the territory, but now it seemed unnecessary. There were more important things waiting for him. "Yes, sir." Nick opened his mouth, but in the end, he didn't say anything. He had originally prepared a lot of words, hoping to convince this lord, but he never expected that he would be called away by Alan before he could say anything. What was going on? Nick followed Alan back to Alan's castle in a daze. "You are a beginner alchemist, so you should be able to concoct beginner potions, right?" Alan said, sitting on the sofa, feeling a little comfortable. Nick nodded. "In fact, I am about to be promoted to an intermediate alchemist." "Very good, concoct a potion for me to see first." Alan ordered the maids to pick 2 kinds of magic plants to bring back. Soon, the maids walked in, holding some magic peas and magic wheat. "Mr. Nick, please begin your performance." Alan looked at Nick with interest. Nick didn't hesitate when he heard this. He directly opened a small wooden box he carried with him and took out some tools needed to concoct potions. When Alan saw it, he was a little surprised. Those things seemed a bit like glass test tubes. There were also some bottles and jars. It seemed that this alchemist was more like a chemistry teacher. Alan silently complained in his heart, but he didn't interrupt Nick from starting to concoct the potion. The profession of an alchemist is to extract the magic contained in magic plants and combine them to achieve the best effect. Magic is a kind of energy that both mages and knights can absorb. A good alchemist can perfectly fuse the magic of 2 kinds of magic plants together to obtain a more powerful and gentle potion. Soon, under Nick's operation, drops of magic liquid emitting white light were extracted from the wheat. Nick slowly concocted this magic liquid with the green magic liquid extracted from the magic peas. However, relying on his skilled techniques and skills, Nick didn't spend too much time and concocted a bottle of crystal clear light green potion. "Sir, the potion is ready. Would you like to try it?" Nick seemed extremely confident at the moment. Alan smiled and nodded. He took the potion and drank it directly. Immediately, he could feel a new force appearing in his body. Alan quickly refined that energy with his fighting spirit. It does have an effect, but the effect is not great for Silver Knights. Alan nodded slightly and said, "Sir, this is just a beginner potion. Silver Knights need intermediate potions," Nick said with a wry smile. "Well, you just said you were about to be promoted." Alan raised his eyebrows slightly. He knew the value of an alchemist. After all, this profession requires a lot of magic plants to practice with. Every alchemist is fed with gold coins, so alchemy is a money-burning and noble profession. What's more, even in Earl Albert's castle, there were only 2 intermediate alchemists. After all, it takes a huge amount of money to cultivate a beginner alchemist into an intermediate alchemist, and it also depends on whether the alchemist himself has the potential. Even if a great nobleman is willing to cultivate a beginner alchemist, it doesn't mean that cultivating one beginner alchemist will definitely produce an intermediate alchemist. Out of 100 novice potion masters, there might not even be one who can truly grow into an intermediate potion master. One can imagine the preciousness of an intermediate potion master. "Yes, sir, I'm about to advance soon." Nick revealed a hint of a smile. Chapter 58, Taking in Nick, Alan's Mentality. Alan was a little surprised. An about to be promoted novice potion master was a high-end talent that all nobles would absolutely not refuse. It was unimaginable that such a potion master with a bright future would actually come to his small town to seek refuge with him. Alan would never believe it if there were no hidden reasons. "With your worth, there's absolutely no need for you to come to my small town, right?" Alan said calmly. Offended someone? Besides offending someone, Alan really couldn't think of any other reason. Nick was silent for a while, then smiled bitterly. Yes, sir, I'm being hunted by the palace knights because I offended the second son of Duke Ryan. Nick didn't know what was wrong, but he suddenly told the truth. He always felt that the young man in front of him was different from other nobles. It was as if there was a kind of magic that made him unable to lie in front of Alan. Alan was stunned when he heard this, and he sized Nick up. You have quite some guts, daring to offend the Duke's son. Alan was shocked. He couldn't imagine that a potion master like Nick would have such courage. But at the same time, Alan also understood Nick's identity, possessing superb skills, and also having great potential to advance to become an intermediate potion master. And also able to have contact with the Duke's son. Alan could guess Nick's identity with his toes. This was a royal potion master, right? I didn't want to either, but that beast was too much. Nick said, a trace of grief flashing in his eyes. He tried to defile the woman I love, so I injured him and escaped. Nick showed a bitter smile. Strangely enough, Nick was originally preparing to flee to the ends of the earth, but for some reason, when he passed by the Thistle Flower territory, he had the idea of staying. At that time, the Rose Town's liquor, perfume, and malt sugar opened up the market, causing a shock throughout the Thistle Flower territory. Nick instantly decided to come here and take a look. After arriving in Rose Town, he didn't know why, but he decided to stay. I see. Alan seemed to have heard that one of the Duke's sons was indeed not a good person. All right, I understand. From today onwards, you'll work for me. Since you're about to advance to become an intermediate potion master, then I won't mistreat you. You can freely allocate 1/5 of the total number of magic plants in my territory. This is equivalent to my investment in your advancement to become an intermediate potion master. You can use them to accumulate experience and strive to become an intermediate potion master as soon as possible. Alan patted Nick on the shoulder, then took the potion master to visit his magic plant field. Heavens, there are actually 8 kinds of magic plants. Sir, do you have 8 nature spirits? Nick was shocked. He had heard that even Earl Albert only had 6 nature spirits. Alan, a mere baron, actually had more nature spirits than an earl. Unbelievable. That's right, so I said I've already given you quite a few magic plants. I think it should be enough for you to use. Alan said calmly. Nick's eyes were practically filled with tears. As a town baron, Alan was actually willing to take out magic plants for him to practice with, to cultivate him into an intermediate potion master. This moved Nick's heart. Sir, it's enough. After receiving Nick's affirmative answer, Alan didn't waste too much time and directly asked the servants to take him down to rest. Alan himself returned to the study. He had thought about Nick's problem. This person had no problems with his character, and he was capable. Plus, he was a person given by the system, so he couldn't refuse him. As for the trouble he caused, Alan felt that they wouldn't be able to find him here for a while. After all, his place was just a small country town. Of course, even if someone really did find their way here, it wouldn't matter, he could just kill them. Alan had 1,000 ways to make those who dared to chase after him into his territory disappear from the face of the earth, unless the ones chasing Nick were Golden Knights, which was obviously impossible. Although taking in Nick also caused Alan some trouble, this kind of trouble was not in vain. At least Alan felt that it was not a loss to be able to obtain an intermediate potion master. Moreover, as long as he had a potion master to concoct potions, then the knights he cultivated would also have the opportunity to become stronger in the future. This was also extremely important to Alan. After all, others could not improve their strength as quickly as he could, and a potion master was a talent that he absolutely needed. As for the problem of that Duke Ryan's second son, Alan didn't take it to heart. That guy was a typical playboy, and such a person could not earn Alan's respect. Even if he was the Duke's son, the prince of this duchy, in Alan's eyes, he was just a waste. Alan had some respect for Duke Ryan in his heart. After all, the Duke was a dragon knight and, in a sense, Alan's senior. But that was only as a senior. Alan, who possessed the system, now possessed too many things, even dragons, and his mentality had long changed. Alan could even say with certainty that one day he would also be able to become a dragon knight, and he could also establish a kingdom. In that case, from a certain point of view, his relationship with Duke Ryan was no longer superior-subordinate but equal. It was just that no one knew this. Now, Alan only had respect for Duke Ryan as a strong person and a senior. Other than that, there was not much off from a subject towards a monarch. He treated the Duke like this, let alone a prince. Chapter 59, The Angry Earl Bear. After thinking about Nick's problem, Alan focused his energy on the system. His previous troop training mission had already been completed, and it could be said that it was overfulfilled. It was estimated that the story of his group robbing nobles had already spread in the Blue Moon Duchy. Subscribe to Chinese Novel Audio Wave. After completing the mission, Alan received 3,000 experience points, and now his experience bar was 44,750. There were still more than 5,000 experience points to go before leveling up. The mission after the system refresh was, expand the Sea Cavalry. Alan had already had this idea, and he had even purchased 30 sea lion beasts and released them into the sea, just waiting for Marco to select suitable personnel to complete it. The mission reward was 3,000 experience points, the same as the previous troop training mission. With 1 or 2 more missions, I can reach level 7. At that time, as a Golden Knight, I will have more powerful combat power on the battlefield. Alan squinted his eyes and pondered. Time quickly came to night again, and Alan directly came to the beach with his knight's sword. The sea cavalrymen showed a bright smile when they saw Alan's arrival. "Sir, are we going for another stroll tonight?" Alan nodded when he heard this. "Nonsense, what else would I be doing here?" "Set off quickly. This time, focus the targets on ships. Our Rose Town also needs to have ships." Alan's words immediately gave the sea cavalrymen direction. "Okay, sir, don't worry, today we'll specialize in robbing ships." With the experience from before, the group easily arrived around the Blue Moon Duchy. Alan and the others became even more cautious this time. It seems that it should be because we were too arrogant yesterday, continuously robbing several viscounts and also hijacking Earl Bear's ship, so now there are many naval armies of the Blue Moon Duchy patrolling the sea. There weren't any yesterday. Alan sighed. The Blue Moon Duchy's reaction speed was really fast. "Sir, we can't get close now. What should we do?" A sea cavalryman said with some sighing. "Hee, if we can't get close, then let them get close to us." Alan said calmly, "Use the sea lion beast's ability to control the surrounding seawater flow and pull those ships directly over." At this moment, the role of the magical beast was fully reflected. As an ancient magical species, the sea lion beast had extremely strong control over the sea. They were proficient in water magic, and almost instantly, they had already controlled a 3-masted sailing ship not far away. Swish! Almost instantly, the ship was instantly wrapped in seawater and disappeared from its original location. Quote? This scene shocked many people on the patrolling ships at sea. They had heard that pirates seemed to be on the sea, and they had also robbed several nobles before, which was utterly insane. And it was said that Earl Bear's tribute ship to the Duke had mysteriously disappeared, and it happened to be on the day when the pirates were active. That was why there were so many patrol ships on the sea today. Originally, they all thought that the pirates had come by ship. Who would have thought that they didn't see the pirate ship, but their own ship instantly disappeared? From afar, everyone could see that a small bulge seemed to be bulging on the sea, rushing away quickly. HMPH. Want to leave? Not so easy. Number 36 to 36. Just as everyone was in a daze, a figure soared into the sky from Bear Island. In an instant, a terrifying force erupted from that figure. The immense battle chi caused ripples in the sea for several miles around, and Alan was also stunned by this powerful battle chi. Damn it, a Golden Knight. Alan's expression changed slightly, and he felt a little speechless. It's just robbing a ship, is it necessary? Did the Earl personally take action? Alan didn't even turn his head and told people to run away quickly. He was still quite confident in the sea lion beast. Although the Golden Knight's strength was terrifying, and he even possessed the ability to temporarily fly. But temporary is just temporary. Alan didn't believe that he could catch up, cross the entire sea, and chase him back to Rose Town. Dirty pirates. Earl Bear's tone was full of anger. He was certain that these people were the same guys who had robbed his tribute ship before. Damn it, he had never seen such outrageous behavior, robbing him once and then coming back for a second time. Earl Bear was not someone with a good temper to begin with, and at this moment he was directly enraged. He swung the knight's sword in his hand fiercely, and a powerful battle chi instantly slashed out. A huge sword mark appeared on the sea surface. The sea water surged, and the entire sea surface began to churn. This sword strike traveled dozens of miles. If the sea lion beast hadn't been extremely sensitive and dodged in advance, it would have been hit. Damn it! Earl Bear stared at the ship wrapped in seawater that was still rapidly moving away in the distance with a grim face, and he was about to explode with anger. "Ah, you despicable and shameless pirates, don't let me catch you," Earl Bear said angrily, but he didn't chase after them, because he couldn't catch up at all. Although he had the ability to fly, it consumed too much battle chi. He couldn't afford to chase for a long time. He could only watch helplessly as the pirates, who seemed to be riding some kind of magical beast, left. Chapter 60 Advanced Dragon Nest, First Time Riding a Dragon. Closing parenthesis. Lord, that was really terrifying just now. Is that the power of a knight? A sea cavalryman said with lingering fear. Earl Bear's sword strike just now made them feel a sense of powerlessness and despair. Recognize. Accuracy. If, water, first. Hair, group. Number, 6, 5, 6, 6 inches. 1, 8, 8, 9. 6 feet group. Number, 3 inches 0, 0. 0 inches. 3, 1, 4, 2, 7. If it weren't for the sea lion beast's quick wit, they would have been killed by that sword. Alan was also a little shocked. This was the first time he had seen a golden knight take action. So this is the true strength of a golden knight. A gleam of light burst out in Alan's eyes. He was currently at the peak of a silver knight, and he could also release battle chi from his body and turn it into sword energy to attack enemies. However, his sword energy could only be unleashed for about 10 meters at most. Compared to Earl Bear, the gap was too big. The difference between a golden knight and a silver knight was too great. Alan instantly had the urge to immediately advance to a golden knight. So what if he's a golden knight? He still can't catch up to us on the sea. All of you, remember this, with the sea lion beasts, you are the overlords of the sea. Alan slightly stabilized his emotions, while having people return to Rose Town along the way, and also comforting the sea cavalryman's emotions. So what if he's a knight? As long as you work hard, one day you will become knights too. Alan said calmly. The sea cavalryman's emotions recovered slightly, and soon they returned to Rose Town. Originally, Alan planned to rob the nobles again and get a few nature spirits back. He didn't expect that the Blue Moon Principality would be so heavily guarded. Alan had no choice but to give up the idea of frequently going to the Blue Moon Principality to make a quick buck recently. Back in Rose Town, Alan had people lock up this group of sailors first, and then had people go on board to see what was inside. As soon as he saw it, Alan was overjoyed. Another 100,000 gold coins and various magical plants. Alan was overjoyed. He finally knew why Earl Bear had personally taken action. It seemed that he had damaged his tribute ship again this time. The tribute that was gathered from the entire territory was robbed twice in a row. Not to mention that Earl Bear didn't have a good temper. Even someone with a good temper like Alan would be so angry that they would vomit blood. It's not a loss to have made a final haul. Alan thought happily, and by the way, he instructed Marco to ask those sailors tomorrow if they were willing to pledge allegiance. If they weren't willing, kill them directly. If they were willing, keep them and teach the townspeople how to sail and so on. After Alan finished instructing all of this, he also told Marco to seize the time to select 30 people to form a sea cavalry. In this way, he could complete the mission and refresh the next mission. Having obtained another 100,000 gold coins, Alan finally had enough money to upgrade Safi's dragon nest again. Although Safi could live perfectly well in the intermediate dragon nest at the moment, Alan felt that if he could use a high-level one, why use an intermediate one? Besides, Safi was growing up, and he would only have a dragon mount when she grew up. There was no reason for Alan not to do this to help her grow faster. After all, if he relied on the young dragon to grow on her own, it would probably take 100 years or so to grow up. Upgrade the dragon nest. After returning to his study, Alan immediately chose to spend 100,000 gold coins to upgrade the dragon nest. Anyway, the gold coins came from robbery, so Alan didn't feel bad about spending them at all. Soon, 100,000 gold coins disappeared, and the intermediate dragon nest in the system also became an advanced dragon nest. Ding! Congratulations to the host for obtaining an advanced dragon nest. This dragon nest is the highest level dragon nest building and cannot be upgraded further. The system prompt sounded, and Alan smiled. He went in to take a look first. The advanced dragon nest was more spacious than the intermediate dragon nest, and it looked like a small world, with mountains, water, and various magic crystals. Of course, the most important thing was that the air here was filled with the aura of dragon power. This was simply a top-quality holy land for Safi. Watching Safi happily flying in the dragon nest, Alan's heart stirred. Safi, come down quickly. You're almost 10 meters long now. You're so big, you should be able to let me ride you for a bit. An expectant look appeared in Alan's eyes. Riding a dragon, this was a privilege that only dragon knights could enjoy. Roar. Safi landed very obediently on the ground, allowing Alan to ride on her body. After Alan sat down, Safi spread her dragon wings and her huge body immediately soared into the air. The advanced dragon nest was like a small world, and Safi could fly freely here. Wow! Alan shouted, and as Safi flew, he sat on the dragon's back, his expression excited. Looking at the ground that was already far away, Alan instantly became fascinated by the feeling of riding a dragon. Safi's flight speed was extremely fast, but her body was very stable. Even when she spun around, Alan didn't feel any discomfort. Most importantly, Alan and Safi were connected in mind and spirit. He could change Safi's flight path with a single thought. Too cool, too awesome. In the dragon nest, Alan rode Safi for a full 2 hours before reluctantly leaving the dragon nest. Only after riding a dragon could he feel the wonder of riding a dragon. At this moment, Alan's desire for Safi to grow up and become an adult became even stronger. Thank you for watching. Continue exploring the fascinating world of Chinese novels with us. Hit that subscribe button on Chinese Novel Audio Wave to stay updated with our latest stories. And never miss out on a great listen.